What's up, guys? It's Chris again with Grandma Lee Historical Fencing. Last night was our class or our sparring time when we meet on Monday evenings. That's when we hold our classes. And I thought I'd talk to you a little bit before I upload the videos and you guys see the weapons medley videos. And you'll see why I call it that is because we use a variety of weapons. Now, I know in some HEMA clubs, or most HEMA clubs, they cover like longsword, staff, dagger, certain types of one-handed sword, be it saber, backsword, rapier, side sword, and then you got things like arming sword, montante. They have all these documented weapons or treatises for these weapons, which is great. I'm nothing bad there. And we do the same thing with sword and buckler. We use I-33. I'm currently looking for a Bolognese treatise so we can have two different things to work from. We use Fiore for dagger, spear, poleaxe, and longsword, and we use Dobbringer for longsword, and I'm looking to get a copy of Ringneck for multiple weapons as well. But the thing that makes our club a little bit different is instead of periodically using different weapons or just trying stuff out, we do a lot of shield combat. And yesterday I finished a Viking shield, the first one that I made. Now it's only like 2 foot and some inches in diameter. I didn't have the big enough piece of material to make it a 3-foot round, which is why I'm going to be making really soon. But we got that. We've got 2 different sizes of heater shields. I'm currently working on something in between the kite shield and heater shield, like a teardrop, or not a teardrop, but a triangle shield, something that is in that metamorphosis from teardrop / Norman / kite shield to the heater shield, because I really like those triangular shields. I think they're really cool. I'm a really big fan of the heater as well. I just like shield combat in general. I wasn't a big fan of it a couple of years back, and I've really grown to like it, especially once I started doing a little bit of sword and buckler. I really like shield combat now, so we do that on the regular. And then we use weapons like the Dane axe, the bearded axe, which we'll have a video of. I've got a spear that we use in with shield and by itself, with the heater shield and the Viking shield. And thanks to Thran, we got some techniques we use from him. So, like always, check out Thran. Like and subscribe. He does great, like 9th century Viking Age migration period content with like the cast blows and things. He does great content, great videos. Him and Elram are just great. But we do a lot of different weapons that don't have treatises for it. So let's take the Dane axe, for example. We're going to use plays that cover spear and polearm and apply that to our Dane axe and see how it comes out. Now, we've only got to use the Dane axe a couple of times, and we're still working on plays. And Jacob, I've been talking to a guy at Outer Club. His name's Jacob. He's really into Viking combat, so is Jeff, and most of my guys are really into it. So what we've opted to do is we've got for my club, our main HEMA curriculum that is covered in treatises that we pull information from, technique from, and practice from, okay? We do that just like every other HEMA club, school, anything that is the normal way of learning. We do that just the same. But on the other side of the coin, we also do things that we don't have treatises for, so we can use either a freestyle and our own interpretation of using the weapon, or use techniques from the treatises themselves and apply them to those weapons, like the Dane axe. So I had Jacob go look up some plays for the Dane axe. He actually looked up quarterstaff, spear, and polearm, various polearm plays for it, and was talking to us about it and showed us a few of the simpler techniques. And I showed them the exchange of the point that's in Fiore's spear, for example. So we just had a few techniques to go over, and then we theory crafted and tried some in sparring again with it. Now, just like any other weapon, in any other system, you'll get better the more you use it, and that's what we plan on doing with like the Dane axe, for example. It's also true with like the Viking shield with spear, axe, or sword. That is going to be, I wouldn't say a mainstay or a main staple in our stuff, but it's going to be right there alongside the actual HEMA stuff that we're going to be learning from the treatises. It seems like in our HEMA community, that there's a growing interest for things that aren't covered in a treatise. And that's one of the things we do in our schools. We use a lot of different weapons. Now, in my personal experience in the past, when I first started getting into weapons combat, me and the guys that I was with in Kentucky, we made all kinds of weapons and used them. All kinds of shields, swords, axes, spears. We made kusurigamas. We had a meteor hammer coming from like the Shaolin martial arts. So, I mean, we tried a lot of different things just to see what they were like. We had a pair of sais. We had variations on swords, different lengths, different types with different guard setups. Some of them were Asian inspired, some of them were European inspired. We just made a lot of different weapons and tried them out. Now, the thing that applies to this that runs hand in hand with HEMA is your distance, your timing, and your judgment. No matter what weapon set you're fighting with, or even if you're fighting unarmed, still your distance, your timing, and your judgment, you will bring those elements to your fight no matter what you're using. And Matt Easton touched on this, and that's really where, after watching his video and listening to him talk about it, it became more prevalent in my own mind as to the name of our club is Grand Melee, or Grand Melee. So you would have multiple people fighting with multiple different types of weapons and or weapon sets. So I think the name applies in the way that we approach it actually worked out really good. I didn't intentionally plan it that way, but the way that the group's coming together and the way that we're doing things, I think it's a coincidence that we do all these different weapons and things, and then our name's Grand Melee. The other thing that we're going to do is multiple people engagements, like with skirmishing skills, and multiple like 2-on-2, 3-on-2, 4-on-4, those sorts of setups, and then have different types of scenarios to run to build different skills for like skirmishing, for actual melee combat, for those types of things that you won't get when you're just fighting one-on-one against a different weapon. And those skills, again, can lead credence and help you build your skills within HEMA with, say, longsword or sword and buckler. It'll help you with your combat situational awareness. It'll help with your distance, your timing, and your judgment. I think it's just another way to help build skills that will help your overall skill sets within HEMA. Now, me and my guys are loving what we're doing. Hopefully, the HEMA community at large, I know we're not a big name school or anything, but people, I'm not looking for a super bunch of recognition. I just hope when people do watch the videos on it, like whoever's watching these, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you like the way that we approach it. We love fighting with different weapons and seeing what they, seeing how they interact and how they fight and how they're used. The best way to know how to beat a weapon is to use it and practice with it. And even if I'm fighting a Dane axe, for example, say with sword and buckler, it would be not a whole lot like fighting rapier, but the whole sense that I'm having to fight a weapon that's got more range and I've got to worry about points, the point of the weapon and it thrusting me is still the same. And that's another thing where I think it runs parallel with your HEMA skills and fighting different weapons that are actually with a treatise versus weapons that are not. You're still learning, oh crap, I've got to do my distance right, I got to maintain my timing. All these things are very important. And I think that's one of the things that we're getting a lot of using mixed weapons and weapons that aren't covered in treatises. So in the videos coming up, I've got several videos. They're a little bit shorter than some of the other ones. I think a couple of them are only like 4 or 5 minutes, up to about 8 minutes, I believe, if I'm right. And the level of skill that all of my guys have is different. We've got, I'm not saying I'm the most skilled, but I'm the one that's been doing it the longest. And then James is the one that's doing it the least amount of time. So we've got a wide variety of people and skill sets, which really helps add to the dynamic of different weapons and different things. Because like you can give a beginner a spear and they can really, really mess up someone that's got intermediate skills, say with like a longsword. They typically will be able to beat them if the longsworder don't know how to deal with the spear. And again, going back to the point that fighting different weapons will get you used to that. If I have to fight a spear with sword and buckler or a longsword or whatever my weapon choice is that I make that day, if I have to fight against a spear, I'm going to learn the ins and outs of how to deal with it and how not to get quote-unquote killed or get hit, which is the whole point in HEMA, is hitting without being hit. So I think what we're doing is cool, and I really enjoy it, and I really like it. The guys at my club really like it, enjoy it too, and hopefully this will be a way of me being able to bring more people in. That way, when they get there, we have our base HEMA study that's like any other group. We take it straight from the treatise. We're trying to learn and replicate it as best as we can, the techniques and things like that. And then you've got this other stuff that we do that kind of, that's fun. It's nice to do. Now, I'm not going to make the school all about, mixed weapons, fighting, and freestyle, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what it's about. It's a HEMA club first and foremost. That's why I'm saying we have treatises that we work from. But we do have this other side to us of the mixed weapon stuff that is just great fun and I love doing. And if you think about it, historical European martial arts covers a huge time frame and a huge set of weapons. So I would say it actually falls into that category of quote unquote HEMA, even though some of the weapons we use don't have treatises for them, like the Dane axe or Viking sword and shield. There is certain people that have done research, like Anthony Cummins, who put out a book on Viking martial arts and techniques and things, which can be helpful in these situations. But again, like I said, we're taking what information we have from the treatises and applying it to weapons that don't have it to them. Yes, I know that's not necessarily going to give us 100% authentic way that weapon was used, but it gives us a better idea. Between having historical techniques and then being able to use the weapon and play around with it in free play and sparring, you'll get a good idea and a good grasp of how the weapon works. And Mark Gilbert, in one of Matt Easton's video, makes this point that he come from LARP into HEMA, and a lot of the techniques that he had learned himself were actually techniques that were within treatises, the actual historical techniques that he was doing that he didn't even know existed until after he started reading it and getting into HEMA. I was like, cool, I've been doing these techniques that I learned myself that are actually historical. So I just want to let you guys know that yes, first and foremost, we are HEMA Club, but we do have a wider expanse of weapon uses that we choose to use and that we're going to use. And I like it, my guys like it, and hopefully it'll be fun for you guys to watch. Now, I know we're not the most skilled guys on the planet, but we are having a great time. And if you guys have schools and you want to try this out, do it. It's great fun. If you guys have any questions on some of the weapons that I made, hit me up in the comments. I'll tell you exactly how I put them together, and if need be, I can do a video on it. So far, the axes and stuff that I put together hold up really well, and so is the spear. And actually, they're pretty safe to use. Actually, the worst thing so far, I may have mentioned this before, but the worst injury that we've got from the Dane axe, I got like a quarter-size bruise on my side. Besides that, it's actually pretty safe, and the weapons that I've made are actually to historical lengths and weights. So I'll have the sparring videos up of the weapon medley, and you guys check it out. Remember to like and subscribe if you like what we're doing, and I'll see you next time, guys.